Hi everyone, welcome to Ra's English Ramble. I'm Ra and I'm the host of this podcast. I hope you're doing well. How has your week been? I've currently got a lot of deadlines to meet at work, so I've been pretty busy. Luckily, Christmas is a quiet period, so I can get on with work without any distraction, so that's one good thing about the holidays. Other than that, I bought a new TV solely for the purpose of playing my PlayStation 5, but to be honest, the TV did need an upgrade, so that's my excuse of buying a new one. Also, recently, I haven't been putting 100% effort into studying Japanese. I always review my sentences every day, but I usually do that after work, so I'm usually quite knackered, which causes me to not remember the hardest and easiest kanji. I have promised myself to do more immersion. I have a few days off during Christmas, so I'm going to put my all into learning some new vocab and hopefully getting back into immersion. So in today's episode, I wanted to talk about where my love for Japan came from. Strap in because it's story time. I mentioned in the last episode that I started getting into Japanese because of anime. I think for a lot of people who like the culture or the language, their love for Japan usually stems from anime. I know it's not the most realistic image of Japan, but it's a starter. I remember back when I was young, my uncles used to watch Dragon Ball Z on the TV. My uncles were pretty young when I was born, so I have a close relationship with almost all of them. Anyways, Dragon Ball Z was of course dubbed over here in the West, so I had no idea it came from Japan. I think that's probably my first ever memory of anime. Soon after that, Pokemon was released in the West. To this day, I still remember watching the first episode. I was in Dover at my cousin's house. My family would usually go over the summer or winter holidays. After that, we had Yu-Gi-Oh! And Cardcaptor Sakura. I remember running home from junior school just so I could watch all of Cardcaptor Sakura. I remember being very close to finishing time at school. And at this point, I had somewhat of an idea that these programs were from Japan. I also remember in secondary school, me and my friends planned to go to Japan, and I remember this memory very vividly. It was during a business studies lesson, and a close friend of mine used to sit next to me in class. We wrote down a list of all of our friends and said, we have to go to Japan. It's a place I always wanted to go because I had this image of Japan being this very futuristic place. This was back in 2007 or so quite a long time ago. It wasn't until 2012 where I properly got immersed into anime. I just left college at this point and I was working as an engineer. My cousin, who I mentioned earlier, who lived in Dover, they moved closer to where I live. So, since my cousin is now living closer, there's more opportunity to see him and there's more opportunity to talk about things. I went round his house and he was watching anime. I think he was watching Naruto at the time because he was a big fan back in the day. But he tells me, man, you really need to watch anime. Before this, I had absolutely no interest in anime. I always thought it was for children, since I had watched anime during my childhood. You could say I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Anywho, I went home that night and I downloaded Death Note. I had done my research and searched online what is the best anime out there, and almost every list, Death Note was number one. I watched the first episode, and after that, I was absolutely hooked. During this time, obviously because Japanese anime was a brand new thing for me, I was using English subs. So yeah, the rest was pretty much history. I continued to watch anime with English subtitles for a very, very long time. I remember the first Japanese word I learned was ningen, and that was probably because of Death Note's opening song. It was very heavy metal, very loud. As you can imagine, I finished Death Note rather quickly and I was hungry for more. After that, I watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Eino Hana, Steins Gate, Maid Summer, and the reason I watched Maid Summer was because during this point I got heavily invested into watching shoujo anime. I don't particularly know why, I just enjoyed it and it was easy to follow, so maybe that's why. And one of the sole reasons I went to a maid cafe was because of Maid Summer, but I'll save that story for another day. Also, I watched 800 episodes of One Piece in about 3 months. I think I broke a world record in there somewhere, but yeah, I finished, well, not finished, but I caught up to One Piece relatively quickly. I remember saying to myself, Ra, you have to watch 10 days per episode or you'll never be able to catch up. And sometimes I watched more than that. Sometimes I watched 20 episodes, I think. This was during a time where I was working part-time at a library. I'd left my engineering job and I started to work as a librarian for a little bit. So I had a lot of free time, so I invested that time into watching One Piece. I don't watch it anymore, sadly, and I don't think I'd have the time to catch up again, but that's something I was quite proud of, watching that many episodes in that short amount of time. I did really enjoy it, and I probably should read the manga. One of the other things that I enjoyed about anime was the airing animes. I know anime is aired in seasons, so whenever a new series came out, I would always look at the synopsis. I would check what genre it was, and if it was a sequel, that would make me more happy. You know, I still remember finishing work, getting onto my laptop and downloading the latest episodes. So, yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I think by the first year, I'd watched a lot of anime. My vocab was increasing, but I never really said to myself that I'd learn Japanese. Watching anime was just something that I enjoyed. It wasn't something that I would take seriously until much later. But yeah, I'd watched a lot of series by this point, and I wanted to start watching something new. Something obviously that was spoken in Japanese, but something a bit different than anime. Anime was good, but you don't really get the full picture of Japan. You don't get to see real life stuff, I guess. You don't get to see buildings, food, people, shops, you know. I started to look online for live action stuff, and I came across Japanese dramas. Once again, I did my research and I said to myself, what would a good first drama be? And one that caught my eye was My Boss, My Hero. Water! And that's probably the most iconic line I've heard in Japanese drama. So yeah, I started watching Japanese drama in 2013, about a year after I started watching anime. And like anime, I watched a lot of Japanese drama. Obviously, Japanese drama helped with real life conversations, I guess. I got to see Japan in real life, I got to see the food, and most importantly, I got to see the countryside, something that I'm a big fan of in Japan. After watching My Boss, My Hero, I watched many other Japanese drama. To this day, I think I've completed about 115 dramas and about 23 Japanese movies. When you watch so much content, you start to get favourite actors, favourite actresses. A bit like when I watched anime, I had favourite voice actresses and voice actors. I remember when I was really into Japanese drama, I had favourite actresses like Maki Yoko and Honda Tsubasa. Some of my favourite actors were Eita and Nagase Tomoya. One drama that stuck out to me was Ama-chan. Like One Piece, Ama-chan had a lot of episodes, so I went through that relatively quickly as well. But yeah, Ama-chan was super great. By this time I was working as an engineer again, and I was working nights, so I would usually watch an episode or two before starting work, and when I had my days off, because I was working nights, I wanted to keep the same sleeping routine, so I would watch a lot of episodes late into the night. I would usually go to bed about 2 a.m. So, in conclusion, from anime and Japanese drama, this is how I got into Japan. It's where I learned favourite words, favourite places in Japan. It's where I learned phrases, slang. So, in conclusion, from anime and Japanese drama, this is where I learned the bulk of my Japanese. And I learnt it without knowing, if you know what I mean. I never really wanted to study Japanese. I never really wanted to take it seriously. It was just something that I had fun doing. But when you watch so much content in a foreign language that you enjoy, you automatically pick up on it. You remember certain words. You remember how sentence structure works. Obviously, I've watched, I think, probably over 500 episodes of Japanese content, maybe more. But after watching so much, you pick up on the language. You learn it without knowing. And just a note, I had never studied Japanese. I just learned Japanese from watching. It was never my idea to study until recently, but that's another episode, I think. But yeah, content definitely helped me while I was living over in Japan. Before moving to Japan, I knew the basics. I could get by speaking to a shop assistant. I could speak to my friends in a casual basis. I wasn't fluent, but I could get by with the usual conversations. So yeah, anime and Japanese drama, that's where it all started. Since 2013, I've been watching anime and drama on and off. Some months I watch a lot, other times I go months without watching anything. It's only recently that I've started to watch a lot more shows because I'm taking Japanese seriously, and a lot of my learning comes from immersion, so I have to watch to learn. But yeah, 8 years of Japanese content. It's flown by, to be honest. A lot of things have happened during that time, but I definitely think it was worth it. I just wanted to say that immersion is one of the best ways to learn a language, especially if you're using your target language subtitles, which I'm doing now. I've stopped using English subtitles, so all of my Japanese content has Japanese subtitles. I usually have a pop-up dictionary, so whenever I highlight a word that I don't know, I can get the meaning straight away. But yeah, I think that was it for this episode, really. I just wanted to talk about how my love of Japan came from, and yeah, it came from anime and Japanese drama. Anyways, I think that will be it for this week's episode. I'm not sure when the next episode will come out, but I'll try and do it soon. I'm actually planning on interviewing my friend because he's been to Japan twice. Anyways, take care and see you on the next episode. Thank you for listening. Bye.